Are you an empty nester? Is your big, beautiful house feeling a little bit lonely these days? And maybe you're thinking, it's a lot to maintain. Well, if you're considering downsizing in the Gainesville area, I've got 15 tips just for you. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate, and let's get down to the 15 things you need to know when you're going to downsize your house in Gainesville. So if you've come to the point of your life where it's time to downsize, perhaps you don't need all the space anymore, or maybe it's just become too much to maintain, or you're looking for a easier, simpler lifestyle, the first thing you need to do is strategize with your realtor. When you're starting to downsize, that can often be a longer process, and that's okay. If you're not ready to list right away, it's still fine to have that conversation with your realtor so they can start prepping you and making sure you're ready for the big day. Some of the things you'll need to discuss will be your timeline. Are you needing to move by a specific date? Do you need more time? And the other thing is whether or not you need to sell this house to buy the next house. Depending upon what your answers are, your realtor's gonna have a different approach. And number two, when you're downsizing, another thing that is part of it is figuring out where you're going to relocate to. Is it going to be local? Is it going to be in a new state? Do you have certain healthcare needs that require you to be closer to a hospital? Figuring out where you're headed is a really good thing to start working on when downsizing becomes part of the conversation. Number three, and this counts especially if you're older or perhaps you have some medical conditions, is make sure that you have a trusted person appointed for all your important documentations, codes, and maybe even a power of attorney just in case something goes wrong. Number four is where your CPA comes in. If you plan to sell this house and perhaps you're downsizing into a rental and you're not going to use those funds to purchase a new house, check with your CPA on the tax repercussions of that because you want to make sure you're not leaving any money on the table. Tip number five is decluttering. I would venture to say that if you've been in your home for an extended amount of time, this might be one of the hardest parts, particularly if you have an attachment to your home. If your kids grew up there, you've lived there a really long time. Decluttering is something that feels very emotional and can feel very overwhelming. So don't be afraid to seek outside help, whether from a friend or family member, or even some professional services who can help you go through the clutter and decide what's worth keeping. And depending upon how much you're downsizing, you can have an estate sale, a garage sale, and you can also determine what gets tossed, what gets donated, and if something's of particularly sentimental value and you can't take it with you, what gets passed on to friends and family or kids. And tip number six is to start decluttering right now. Don't wait until it's time to pack to start decluttering. This is a process that sometimes can take a really long time, especially if you've been in your home for an extended amount of time. So don't wait because then it just becomes really, really stressful. And like I always like to say, eat an elephant one bite at a time. Declutter your home one drawer at a time. Number seven is an additional decluttering tip, which is, as you're going through things, if you haven't used it or seen it in a year, it can probably go. The exception to this, of course, is anything with a super sentimental value to you. If you can't take it with you, perhaps something that's extra sentimental can be passed on to family. And number eight, keep in mind that where you're going is going to be smaller, so you're going to need less stuff. And number nine brings me to furniture. When you're downsizing, think about your bedroom count. If you're going from a 5-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, you're gonna have to get rid of a lot of furniture. You can also think about the size of your dining room and your yard. If where you're living now has a massive backyard and a pool and you have all kinds of outdoor furniture, but maybe you're moving to a condo with no yard, those are the kind of things you need to think about so that you can downsize and get rid of the stuff you're not gonna need anymore. And speaking of the yard, let's go into number 10, which is lawn maintenance. If you're moving somewhere with either a very tiny yard or no yard, you're probably not gonna need your riding lawnmower. So start to think about the equipment you're using on the outside of your house and what really you're gonna be able to use at your next location and what needs to go. Tip number 11, you're going to thank me for later. As you begin to declutter and start packing, I want you to take a box and I want you to label it first night. And I want you to make sure that you're packing anything you can think of that you're gonna need on the first night at your new place. So that's toothbrushes, pajamas, hairbrush, any kind of those toiletries that you might be having to dig through boxes for, label it first night and make sure that that box ends up on the passenger seat of your car for when you arrive at the new place. It makes moving so much easier when you can just have the essentials in one spot so you don't have to dig through everything to get settled. Number 12, if you perhaps have a workshop or a garage where you are, you're gonna have to do an assessment of your tools. You wanna make sure that you don't get rid of everything though. You're gonna need to keep the basics like hammer, screwdrivers, some of the things that you'll need for basic things around the house, but if you're moving to a 2-bedroom townhome, you may not need the table saw. Tip number 13, the kitchen. Make sure that you're keeping a complete set of dishes and silverware and glassware. Those are things that you're gonna continue to use. But the next thing that you need to assess is the size of your kitchen and what type of events you're gonna be hosting at your new place. If you're not gonna be having Thanksgiving dinner at your new condo, it's probably okay to get rid of the turkey roaster. Tip number 14, and this is especially if you've lived in your home for a while, check into portability tax benefits. Now, this only works if you're selling one property and buying another, but if you've been somewhere for a while, check into your local areas because oftentimes you can take those property tax benefits with you to your next location. Number 15, my final tip for downsizing here in Gainesville. Take pictures. If this is a house you loved and had a lot of great memories in, take photos before you go. If you've got one more holiday in the house, make sure everybody's got their cameras out because you can take those photos with you and cherish those memories. The other thing that can be fun is your realtor should be able to provide you with the professional photos they had taken of the house. And pro tip, I've done this for my customers in the past, if a house is really meaningful and special, get a professional photographer to do a photo shoot of you and your family. You'll cherish those for a long time. There it is. 15 tips for downsizing your home in the Gainesville, Florida area. I hope these have provided some guidance for you and make what sometimes can be a really difficult time a little bit smoother and less stressful. If you found value in this and it helped you out, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're thinking about selling your home in the Gainesville area, check out my video that I did on how to sell your home in this area for the highest price. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.